for 49 years, if you've ever stepped inside Brookes Gym, the mini dome, and you've watched football, basketball, women's basketball, other events, you've heard one voice over 49 years. It's Norm Davis. Norm's joining me now. And Norm, I used to tell people when I was a kid, you know, because not many people listened to the radio the way I did growing up and wanting to be a radio broadcaster. But anytime you went in the dome, you heard this big, booming voice, and you heard it year after year after year, and that was you. Talk about how you got in this business 49 years ago.
Well, I started in broadcasting on the campus radio station, the old AM radio station. And from that, I got into the commercial broadcasting. And then that brought me into public address announcing. I started with the first sports information director who was hired at East Tennessee State University. That was Bill Captain. I did the technical aspects of the microphone to start with. Set it up for a public address announcer named Glenn Jordan. He was in the old industrial arts department on the campus. And whenever he stopped doing it, I had talked with Bill and I said, if he ever stops, I'd like to do the PA. Bill called me one day and he said, do you still want to do the PA? I said, yes. He said, you've got it. So that started me in '63, '64. And that was the first football season that I did. But that's what got me started into the public address announcing.
Been doing it 49 years. Very tough, I'm assuming, to do anything for 49 years. There's a lot of memories, a lot of things that obviously you've seen over time in a Buck uniform. Talk about a couple of those things. First, I'd like you to talk about just the memories of playing in Brookes Gym, because for the last, obviously, 20, 30 plus years, we've been inside the mini dome or the MSHA Athletic Center. But talk about what it was like in Brookes, especially during the basketball era.
It was kind of magnetic, and when you had a large crowd, the noise was overwhelming, and many memorable games I saw in Brookes Gym, and some great players such as Tom Chilton. The night he scored the 52 points, I was there. The night Tommy Woods got 38 rebounds, I was there. Just very, very exciting. And one night in a game in the Ohio Valley Conference, Harley Swift was bringing the ball up. We were down by 2 points. He shot it from the line behind the half circle, nothing but net. We went on and won the game in overtime. But that was a very exciting game, and we've had many memorable games over in Brookes.
Out of the top 14 scores that's happened in ETSU history, Norm, you've seen all 14 and seen almost, if not every single home game they played, almost every single home game that they played. Talk about how, I guess, some of the memories of that, because you've seen a lot of great scores and athletes. You've already mentioned some of the era from Brookes Gym, but then you were also there for kind of the newer era when you looked at the early 90s teams and Greg Dennis and Mr. Jennings and such, all the way through the more recent Tim Smiths, Kiwa dudes, Courtney Pegrams.
Oh yes, yes, and I remember one game we played in the Memorial Center, and it was the game against North Carolina State University, and we won the game. That may be the most memorable game that I believe I've ever seen. It was near 13,000 in attendance, extremely loud, and we managed to win it. One of the games that got away from us, we had Wake Forest over here, and we lost 70-69. That was a game that you know, we should have won, and we felt like we should have won. But then the great teams that Dennis and Mr. Jennings were on, just outstanding teams, and you knew that you were going to see a great effort every night, and they played tremendous. And then Mr. Jennings shooting almost 50% for his career on three-point range. That was just amazing.
As we continue our interview with Norm Davis, Norm, we've been talking about your time here, 49 years, and as a public address announcer, came on campus in 1958. You mentioned the basketball game against NC State. And you don't have to go through each individual one, but just a couple of memories or things that just stick out performance-wise, or just when you sit back and you, as you do right now, for 2 or 3 minutes and just think, all right, what about this game and this team, and I remember that play, or just, almost free thought here for me?
Yes, well, I remember the early teams, and the late Wayne Miller when he played, and he was the one who identified the first year I started doing the public address system, because I actually could not remember. It's been a long time, but I remember those teams, and Tom Chilton and Jim Brown and Wayne Miller and Les Phillips. Those were some of the good players. And then you get into Mike Kretzer and Ernie Sims, some more outstanding players along with Skeeter Swift and Kenny Reynolds, Henry White. You come on up to the era of Sonny Smith when he had D.C. Smith, great players. And then on up to Les Robinson, and when he had the tremendous team, and Mr. Jennings. Mr. Jennings, I don't know, I guess in my estimation, he may be the best basketball player I believe I've ever seen at East Tennessee State. Only 5'7", but anytime the ball was loose, he thought it was his. When a big player would bring a rebound down, the next thing I saw was Mr. Jennings circling around the basket and pulling it out of their hands. He felt the ball was his. I don't know, numerous times he did that. You remember he had a lot of steals. Well, that's how he got some of them. But, and just a tremendous shooter, tremendous general. I don't believe I ever saw anyone who could actually guard him. But then you get into Ed DeChellis, and you got Gerald Fields, Akiwa Dude, outstanding players, just really outstanding. We've had some tremendous players here on the campus of East Tennessee State. And then, of course, Murray Bartow and the great players he's brought in. We've been very fortunate, and the season ticket holders have been treated to a great spectacle when we come and watch East Tennessee State basketball.
Norm, what is your kind of moment is in? For me on the radio, it's the moment right before tap where that you've done introductions, which of course we carry live, and yes, we appreciate you letting us do that. And we get to hear your introductions of the team, and they line up in the jump circle, and the referee blows the whistle, and as he approaches and he puts the ball in his right hand and he's about to toss it up. For me, that's all the joy of everything that I'm about to do. That's what's fun for me.
Oh, yes.
Well, what's the moment for you that kind of makes you want to come and sit there courtside every game?
Well, I think you hit it. It's the moment before the tap, that the anticipation of a game, and to see how the teams are going to compete against each other, to see our scorers are going to handle it, how our defense is going to handle it. That's very exciting for me, and I really enjoy that part of it.
Norm, a lot of people don't know this, but I do. You've never been paid. A man's done something for 49 years, and he didn't even ask for season tickets to about 8 years ago. So the Bucs have paid him in season tickets only over the last about 8 seasons or so. 49 years of volunteer work. How does it, you just love it that much?
Well, now, I did get paid before we went into the Dome. I got all of $6 per game the first 3 or 4 years. And then they gave me a raise to $10 per game. But since, I believe, 1977, I felt like I needed to give something back to the university. So I haven't taken any money.
49 years the man has been doing the public address announcing at ETSU. You've had a special relationship, not just with me, Norm, but with all the broadcasters that have broadcast the games as well.
Oh, yes. Dick Ellis, Chip Kessler. I remember Tom Taylor. There have been others, but those stand out in my mind. And Dick Ellis, so long. He attended East Tennessee State. And I don't know where Chip went to school, but I know that Dick attended here. And those are people that I had a great relationship with. And I guess, what it's all about, it's about the university and it's about the program and what a person can contribute to the program. And if it's a little thing like I do, then that gives you some satisfaction.
Norm, got to ask the obvious question here as we wrap things up. 49 years, how many more?
I don't have any idea. This year. And then at the end of this year, I'll make a decision if it'll be next year.
If it is, it'll be half a century, and they'd be lucky to have you, Norm. Thank you for joining me.
Well, thank you very much, Jay.
That's comments from Norm Davis, 49 years public address announcer. If I have anything to do with it, the future ETSU Hall of Famer.